Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the premiere episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting, a podcast where me, Jason,
and Jennifer
have a few drinks
and talk shit about our kids.
So, for our new listening audience, my best friend and I, Jennifer, were sitting around during the pandemic and thought, all these idiots have podcasts, why can't we?
Right.
But I knew if we were going to do this, Jay, I was like, I'm going to need some booze.
Yep.
And my other favorite thing to do is talk shit about our kids. So,
sounds good.
You ready to talk shit about our kids?
Always.
All right, sweetheart. Do you want to introduce what we're drinking today?
Yes, we are drinking one of my favorite whiskeys, Jameson.
I think you actually brought this from your cupboard.
Yes, I did. It's always there. But today I'll have to buy a new bottle because we'll drink it all.
Yes. For our listening audience, Jennifer's, my husband, Zane, my sweet, sweet Zane, poured me and himself a little shot. And Jennifer has a lovely little tumbler, about probably 3/4 of a cup of Jameson. And I was like, I'm kind of jealous. Fortunately, she finished off her own bottle. So I'm like, I want some more whiskey. But... So welcome to A Guide to Poor Parenting. We hope you enjoy it. So the first couple of episodes, Jennifer and I thought we would talk about how we became parents. Now, we are not parents together.
Nope.
I, Jason, am married to my lovely husband, Zane, and we have 2 kids, 2 adult children. And we are also currently raising our 7-year-old granddaughter. And Jennifer, somehow we suckered her into the same idea.
Yeah.
And
little did I know.
Little did you know.
Oh my gosh.
So she adopted a little hellion.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us a little about your little hellion?
Yes, I've had him for 2 years now.
And he is...
He's 10 years old now. I got him when he was 8. His name is Wesley, because you'll hear that a lot, because I like to talk shit about him. So we started the journey with an adoption class where we had to sit for 3 hours every Monday for, I think it was like 10 weeks.
Yeah, I think it was.
And they tried to talk you out of it in a way. They were like, telling you all the bad things that could happen. And then if you stayed, then they started helping you.
How to cope with that shit.
Right. Yeah. But I didn't... Well, I knew that I couldn't take care of a newborn. Yes, I could be a biological mother to a child, but a newborn is a lot. And I'm single, and I didn't want a baby daddy. And so I was like, well, why don't I get one that's school age? That way I don't have to worry about diapers and like daycare. Just send them off to school. So I got the idea kind of from you guys when you went through the program. And then... did those 10 weeks.
Well, I'm gonna back you up a little bit.
Sure.
So for our listening audience, Jennifer and Zane and I we're all based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And Zane and I had found a nonprofit called APAC, which is, I think it's Alabama Pre- and Post Adoption Connections.
Something like that,
Something like that. And we had wanted to adopt. And so APAC will... they will do a home study for you for free. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with home studies and the adoption process, you have to have a home study filled out for you by a social worker, and you have to take a bunch of classes, and then the home study is reviewed by the judge at adoption time or something like that. I think in like a typical like baby adoption, that's how it works. But APAC did it for free because they kind of specialize in the more hard to adopt kids. So I think remember what they specialize? I think it was older kids.
It was older kids, and then ones with disabilities.
Yeah, medically fragile, and sibling groups.
Right.
So any of those are considered hard to adopt.
Yeah, you can't really get a child that's like under 5.
Yeah,
and if they're 5, maybe to like 8, they have something going that's a little harder for them to adopt for, I think.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of teenagers and tweens and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you don't go through that process to get a baby.
Yeah. If you're going to get if you want a younger kid, you do traditional foster care.
Right.
And then I mean, it's kind of a harsh reality, but you kind of hope that the parents' parental rights get terminated.
Yeah.
And that almost happened to our daughter, so that's why Zay and I end up having custody of our granddaughter.
Right.
Where were we? We were talking about APAC.
Yeah. So we talked about the 10-week course, and in the 10-week course, we had to do the
ton of role
papers,
playing,
the paperwork too.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So you had to pick what kind of kid you wanted to get.
No.
Well, what you could do with it. So like you had to pick, would you take a child that was quadriplegic? And then it was yes, no, or maybe.
Yes, no, or with assistance, I think.
Yeah, with assistance. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and so, would it be a fire starter or a dog abuser or, all the fun questions that they asked you, and you had to fill out all these papers.
I think it was like the form Jennifer is referring to, I think it's called like the consent to parent or something
Like that, yeah.
It was like 4 pages of front and back of just all the possible conditions. So you had cerebral palsy, you had blindness, you had deafness, you had oppositional defiant disorder, attention deficit disorder, any kind of disorder kids can have and frequently do in foster care. So if you're hearing that is my sweet, sweet husband's phone going off, even though he reminded us to turn off our phones earlier. So yeah, that's a hard questionnaire to go through.
Yeah.
Because you have to really soul search and be honest with yourself.
Right. And it doesn't have like, they might, or it's just a little bit to an extreme. It's either yes or no. So the way that I answered the questions was, if it was a mild case of it, like, do they like just to light matches? Or compared to like, they're going to burn the whole house down. Mm-hmm. Because you can always say no later. But I was the only thing I said like a definite no to was any type of dog abuse, animal abuse whatsoever. Since I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, I wanted to make sure that they were going to be okay. Because it's just me and then the animals.
Did you had Salem at the third?
Well, I had 6, but 2 have passed since. Because I had Bailey and Salem pass on me. So now I have 4.
But didn't Bailey die before you got August?
No, they were all...
you had 3 dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they were all there.
And then you had...
my fur babies.
All your fur babies.
Yeah.
Did Salem die before Wesley came over?
Yes, Bailey and Salem both passed. But while I was doing the whole process, I had all of them. But yeah.
So Jennifer's a animal hoarder.
Yes.
And...
It's not a bad thing to hoard. I'm just saying.
Yeah, better that than the kids.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, that was the only one that I really said no to, was the animal. Because, like I said, fires, it could just be that they like to light matches. And, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I like fire. But not to the point where I'm going to burn the house down. But, I like watching the fire in the fire pit or,
you might burn someone else's house down.
Well, yeah, that's okay, though. Can't catch me.
Okay, that's right. Jennifer who?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that I remember agonizing over our form and you agonizing over yours. Because it's very you're just like, oh God, you just think about all these kids you're turning down. But I am, having been through the process and have been an adoptive parent through this process, I don't think they use those forms.
I don't think so either. Because when they send you a kid, they don't go back to it. Maybe
APAC does. And APAC is different from the state.
That's true, yeah.
Because I know you got... No, you didn't get... We got kids who've been sexually abused, and they've let us inquire... Like, Zay and I still send out inquiries on kids all the time, and some they don't consult our whatever form.
Right.
And frankly, they've actually sent us kids like, oh, we'll just edit it. We'll just correct it later. Like, oh, Okay. So, no motherfuckers didn't even care about it.
Well, it's probably because state of Alabama, everything's still paper, and they don't do anything on computers. So all that paperwork we filled out, they do not have on the computer. They have it in a file somewhere that they have to go back to every single time to see what we answered. And they're not going to do that. They have like one DHR worker probably has like 30 kids that they have to look after. So they're not going to do all that.
Yeah. Yeah. For anybody wanting to adopt a state of Alabama, just realize it is paper.
Yep.
It is not electronic, even though this would be so easy to make
Yep.
electronic, and it is. I'm amazed that it's not. But good old Alabama.
Yay.
What's our state motto, Jennifer?
I have no idea.
Wasn't it? Or Zane always said it was.
What was it? Thank God for Mississippi.
That's right. Otherwise, we'd be dead last.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. So all right. So after you filled out all that paperwork, then you had to fill out, I think, a financial form too.
Yeah.
Yep. We have to break down every bit of your finances.
Oh my goodness. Easy stuff like mortgage, utilities, but then they asked me how much I spent on clothes and food, and I'm like, I don't know, because, I don't pay attention to that sort of thing, which is me. And I accidentally filled it out wrong. So I did it off one paycheck instead of a month, so I get paid bi-weekly, so I just did it off one paycheck, not both paychecks. And my worker, who I loved, she was my helper on everything.
Your social worker.
Yeah. My APAC worker.
Oh yeah,
Jessica.
your PIP, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
God,
But,
who cares?
and remember Jessica. I love Jessica.
Yeah.
She had called me and she said, Jennifer, I don't think this is right. Because you're like out of money. I'm like, what do you mean I'm out of money? I have money. She's like, no, but with your no, I'm not rich. But she's like, with your form, you don't have enough to take care of a kid. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And then she's like, well, you're barely there. I was like, well, let me look at it again. And so I looked and I was like, oh, well, I left off a paycheck, so that will do it. And she's
Small
like,
details.
yeah. So she was like, let's add that together. I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, okay, now you may have way more enough money to do it, because they need you to be financially stable.
Yeah.
That you have to be. You have to show that you can take care of yourself, your house, and your kid.
Yep. Now, for most states, I think, no, all states, they have an adoption subsidy. So if you adopt what's called a hard to adopt child, so older sibling group, and frankly, for a long time, it's a minority group too. So if
Yeah.
you adopted a black kid or a brown kid, excuse me, I just had a cracker, black or brown child, you got an adoption subsidy. And we do get one here in Alabama, but you have to be able to handle the kid financially before the checks start.
Right, because you have to foster before you can adopt.
Mm-hmm. And you get actual check instead of direct deposit.
Yep, you get an actual physical check in the mail. And so, yeah, I went through all of that. They came to the house, the DHR worker did, and my APAC worker, make sure that everything was up to code and it had all the smoke detectors in the house. And I actually had to end up, because I have no hallways in my house, all the doors kind of connect to each other, so I had to put in like 4 more smoke detectors for each room.
I think I remember.
You had to do it.
Yeah, I remember coming over and I think I did that for you.
Yeah. And then I had to get a fire extinguisher, and of course I messed that up and got the wrong size, so I had to go back and buy another one. And they were very particular of what you had in the house and how you had it, and the dogs and the cats had to have all their shots, and it was a lot.
What's funny is the Apex particular, but I don't think the state gives a shit.
I don't think so.
Because I know when we're still certified, Jennifer let hers lapse because she was like, one and done, baby.
Oh gosh.
So,
Well, for a while anyways, because Wesley's a handful in itself.
What?
Yeah.
that darling boy.
Oh yeah, that darling boy.
But yeah, I do remember. Yeah, we had to get a fire extinguisher too. I'm just glad we didn't have to at the time we did it, and you didn't have, obviously, neither of us had a pool.
Yeah.
Because that apparently
Or
was
a body of water.
Yeah, a body of water. Because I think if you had an unsecured body of water, like if you live next to a pond, the kid just could wander off to, or a pool, you had to have water safety. And I think we actually did take the water safety class at the YMCA.
We did.
And it was kind of stupid.
Yeah. Well, because I think Wesley was coming to your house because of your hot tub. And you had to take it, I think, for you just to keep up with your fostering, like the paperwork for it, because you moved into the house with the hot tub. So we both took it. Thought we were going to be in the pool. We had our bathing suits on. We were ready to go. And then we end up just sitting in a classroom talking about water safety.
And no one else. There's probably like 6 other couples.
I think so, yeah.
And no one else had bathing suits on.
Nope, just us.
We were sitting there like fools.
Yeah, and I was cold. The room was cold.
And it was slightly stupid. We were like, oh, here's how you be safe in the water. Don't let the kid. I was like, Jesus Christ, are you serious? This is all common sense bullshit.
Right. But some people don't have common sense, so they have to make sure that, that people know about it. So that's fine.
I guess. So if you're hearing rustling, Jennifer, since she took up all her lovely Jameson, my husband's gonna crack open a bottle of Basil Hayden, I think it is.
Yep.
Is it right?
No, he wants to know if you want ice.
No, don't get ice because it'll just be loud in the microphone. Our viewing audience will get. And if you hear us crunching every now and then, we will. One of our later segments, we will be discussing that. So if you hear any ice clinking, it's just us being alcoholics.
Yes.
Well, me being a big old drunk and Jennifer being a hardcore Irish woman who can.
Irish German. Get it
Irish
right.
German,
Get it right.
Okay, so we did water safety.
Well, so we're back in the classroom thing. So, we had to do the home studies and all that stuff. But then the actual classes.
Well, let's back up a little further. Okay. So Zane and I did ours, and I remember when you were like, I think I want to do it too. So I was like, or you said there was one coming up, an orientation, I think it was. I was like, yeah. It's at that church we went to. So we go to the southeast side of Huntsville in Jones Valley at, I think, Westbury? Mayfair Church on Bailey Cove Road.
Or 4 Mile Post, one of those.
One of those roads. Big church, big, beautiful church.
It looks more like a school than a church.
Well, whatever. Where a lot of rich white folks go to church.
Yes.
We get over there, and we don't see anybody in the parking lot. I was like, let me see that flyer. And it was Asbury Church in Madison. And for the people who are not in Alabama or in Huntsville, that's on the other side of town.
Yes.
Luckily, Huntsville is not that big. So I grew up in Houston and Austin. And so, to go from one side of town to the other is like a 30-minute drive. In Huntsville, it's 10. So we made it pretty quick. Got there pretty quickly, and they had barely even started and just answering questions. And I think there was, who was in the orientation with you?
Well, I think it started off with 4 couples, a single dad, and a single mom, me. And then you had come just for support because I don't like to do anything by myself.
Just for the orientation, though.
Right? Yeah, just for the orientation, and then. By the end of it, I think we had 2 couples, the single dad and me, because, it starts off and they're really telling you all of the horrible things that can happen just to make sure that you are aware of what you're getting yourself into. So they kind of scare you at first. And then once they kind of weed out the ones that aren't ready for it or, didn't know what they were getting into, then they start doing all of the role playing, and of course, because a single dad and a single mom, they always put us together.
Now, was there any love connection?
No, there was not. Definitely not my type. I mean, he was a cool dude, but yeah, definitely not my type.
I think cool dude may be stretching the term.
Well, I mean,
Jennifer's
I'm just saying, it was not for me and him, and I was good with that.
Didn't flood your basement?
No, did not flood my basement.
Not
like even a tinkle into the basement.
Not even damp.
Yeah, nope.
I remember.
Dry.
Dusty.
Hey.
And crusty.
Hey.
Just teasing. I do remember, he was he was personable, but he was just kind of like, so for our listening audience, you may not get this reference, but Jennifer and I are big fans of RuPaul's Drag Race, and there was a queen on a recent season called Jan, and he vaguely reminded me of like a straight version of Jan, just like way too.
I can see that. He was always very happy.
Yeah, like way at 110% constantly.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like, I mean, he was ambitious.
Yes. Well, I mean,
he owned his own accounting company.
right, and then he now owns like a chain of Baskin Robbins or something like that. So
for her.
Yeah. So I mean, you know,
Honey,
yay.
you could have been rich.
I mean, I don't think he's gotten a kid yet because we're actually Facebook friends. So you know,
there's still a chance.
no, there's not. But you know, so he's doing good for himself, so that's good. But so yeah, we had to do role playing, so we always ended up kind of either. So it was crazy. You'd either have to be like the kid that was being taken away from their parents, or you had to be the kid that was being put into the foster care with, you know, the random people you don't know, or like they played out all of these different scenarios, and then you had to react to them. So yay for theater in high school.
Do a little improv.
Yes.
Do some yes and.
But yeah, so there was a lot of the role playing, and it was. Sometimes it was stupid, in my opinion.
Sometimes.
Like, you know, yeah, we know that kids go through some shit. I mean, you know, these kids have lost everything. There is no, like, yes, we know this.
Wait till we get feet on the. He's got some thoughts and opinions on role playing.
Okay, all right. Yay.
Yay.
Can't wait. But yeah, so went through the classes, 10 weeks, all the role playing, all the paperwork, all the having to take pictures of the house to show that we did a little scrapbook for the kid that we're going to look at. And
had to take pictures of all the kitties and puppies.
We did,
in the kids'
yeah.
room.
Yep.
And I think we had to hide a few bodies.
Well, they were already hidden, so, you know, it was fine.
We'll plant flowers over where we hid them.
Well, there's a tree there, so you know. But so yeah, I think I like graduated, quote unquote, and then not even a week, I think, after the class was over, I get my first kid, and through email, through what was called Nibs.
They sent a child through email?
Yes, they did.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I think they could do that nowadays.
Yes, it was a teenage girl they sent. I sent her back.
You're like, do not email me.
Yes. But you know, what does NIM stand for?
So what Jennifer is referring to is when when you inquire on a kid or the adoption coordinators think you are a match, they will send you what's called a NIBS, which is non-identifying biography statement.
There you go.
And it's like all the like last names and not birthdays, but like last names, addresses, or cities and that kind of stuff taken out of the biography statement.
Yep.
Just so you have a sense of what the kid's gone through.
Right.
Unless you are like Zane and I and have inquired on a kid and you get full name, addresses where they've lived, and parents' name. So yay for good quality social workers.
Yay.
But yes, I do remember your first nibs, and I was like, God damn, because like Zane and I finished ours, and it was like months before we got shit.
And you had to inquire before you got it, right? They didn't just send you like they just sent me randomly, did
they did send us one.
Did they? Okay.
That little boy, but yeah, we'll get into that on my episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Poor guy.
So,
but yeah, so I had a teenage girl, and I thought about it, like it went back and forth. My first instinct was no. Here's a pretty little white girl. So I was thinking pregnancy and, you know, just all the things that could go wrong. And, but then I went back and forth, and I even talked to you and Zane about it. And, we have counselors we can use through APAC, and I talked to them about it. And then I finally was like, I don't think that I would be the right parent for this kid. Yeah. Because I did not do APAC for fostering, because I knew I can't even foster a dog without wanting to keep it. There's no way in hell I could foster a kid and not be like, don't take this kid away from me, it's mine. So I straight up said no to fostering. And the only way I would technically foster is if they already had the parental termination rights. No, wait.
Parental rights termination.
Yeah.
PTR. No,
Nope. what is it?
The
See?
parental rights terminated.
Parental
Well,
rights
that's what it means.
terminated, but
Yeah, whatever.
yeah, it's TPR, but I
Termination of parental rights.
There we go. See, gosh,
That's-
words are hard.
Jennifer and I have the worst memories.
Yes,
We both have mom brain super bad.
and COVID,
Yes.
brain fog.
Yes.
So yay. But so yeah, the little girl or teenage girl, I was like, man, for about 3 weeks
Yeah.
thinking about
I
it.
remember you
I
agonizing.
struggled. And then I was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't be her parent. And I hope that someone was able to be her parent. It was just not right for me.
Do you remember what her name was?
I do not.
Okay. Because I don't think I've seen. I vaguely remember. They sent you a picture, didn't they?
Yeah, I think I had her picture with, or I went and looked on the Heart Gallery.
Yeah.
For her, one of the sites, and the sites when you're looking for a kid, not them sending you one, but when you're looking for a kid, I hate it, but it's like you're shopping for a kid.
Oh, it
you
is.
You go through and you see all these cute babies, and you're like, oh, but not like babies, but 10, 12, 17-year-old, and you're like, aw, and you're shopping for a kid.
It is very uncomfortable.
Oh my God. It's like, just let me take them all. But it's like a catalog of kids. And then, of course, their biographies are, I like to swim and do dishes and read. And that's a whole bunch of fucking lies. I mean, oh my God. You look at that kid, that kid likes to play video games and sit in his room,
And masturbate into his socks.
There you go.
Yeah, no, so what Jennifer is referring to is All States have it. I think it's the Heart Gallery. It's like a kids up for adoption in that state. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure every state has one. I think it's some federal program. But there's a national website called adoptuskids.org. And if you register with them and supply the... I don't know. I think you create a profile with them, and then they contact your social worker to make sure you're not just lying.
Right.
They provide a little bit more information. Like they'll provide a list of diagnoses if they're legally able to.
Right.
So in Alabama, like we were able to see, it would have like, urinasis, which is bedwetting, and I don't remember what. Some kids have like
poop.
Bed pooping.
Yeah.
At night. Sexual abuse or cruelty.
ADHD is a big one amongst foster kids.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like every foster kid has ADHD.
Yeah. I think they said that with ADHD, it's what does it call it? It's, ADHD is so similar to a lot of the trauma that these kids go through causes some sort of issue that they're so similar, but they can be treated by the same medications.
Right.
So, yeah, ADHD is huge.
Yeah.
Like most kids are medicated with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you had the girl. Then they sent me a little boy.
Now, hold on. I want to back up. Am I remember? No, I have a bad memory, so I'm
Yes.
going to... didn't you get a teenage boy, Nibs, who, had broken his aunt's arm or some shit like that?
That was after Wesley.
That was after Wesley.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I remember we've talked about this story before about the girl and then Wesley's Nibs, and I was like, dude, I was like, was another kid, and you were like, fuck no, he broke his aunt's arm or some shit like that.
I'm a single mom, and you're trying to give me a big 15-year-old, I think he was.
Was he? I thought he was 17.
Oh, he might have been 17.
Yeah.
See, memories. But I was like, there is no fucking way. I'm 5'11", but I'm still skinny. If you're a big 17, 15-year-old, whatever he was, you could break your aunt's arm, you can break my arm.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna have it. Nope.
Jennifer's a tall hippie drink of water.
Oh, thank you.
Some beautiful knockers, but yeah. Because when I think we even got the picture, didn't we? And he was like,
no, we didn't get a picture of him.
Okay.
We got a picture of the girl, but not him.
Yeah.
But in his biography, it was like, he's however old he was, and he weighed 200 plus, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was a big boy.
He was built like a man.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, he will heart Jennifer. So yeah.
So I said no to that. It was I had just gotten Wesley's Nibs, and they're like, oh, here's another one, just in case you don't like Wesley's, but...
Which I have to say, jealous but not surprised by, because Jennifer is a single mother. Zay and I are a gay married couple, and we didn't get shit for nibs. Like they didn't send us crap.
Nope.
We got one, which I will talk about when we do our second episode. But yeah, I was amazed when Jennifer just like inundated with fucking nibs. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, that's homophobic
Well, because I'm
bullshit.
awesome.
You're a straight white woman.
Well, that's true, but I'm also awesome.
Well, I guess. All right, so you
Get Wesley's
you say
nibs.
fucking out of the little girl.
Well,
You
I
go-
still feel bad about it,
well, as you
so,
should.
you know.
I'm teasing.
Harsh.
This is
Way harsh, Jay. Way harsh.
This is the type of friendship we have.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you getting Wesley's nibs, and you agonized over that a bit too, because you were, well, not agonized, but you were like, not sure, because there were some questions about,
Sexual abuse.
yeah, and there was questions, but there was no like definitive,
Yeah.
like, oh, he was touched or anything like that.
His older siblings had stuff happen to them, and then they in turn did stuff to some of Wesley's siblings. They didn't know if Wesley was part of it because he was in the kind of the younger of the siblings, so we weren't 100% sure. I still don't know to this day. I haven't seen any signs of it, but I still love him, so whatever. But yeah, that kind of did have a little bit to do with it, but I decided I'm going to meet this little boy. Why not? So I took the day off, drove to Birmingham.
Which is about an hour and a half.
Yeah, about an hour and a half away, yeah.
And there was there's called the McWayne Center, but it's like
It's a science,
it's a kids'
interactive
science.
center, yeah. It had like 4 floors, and you got to do a lot of hands-on stuff. Got to touch some stingrays, and you could see how fast you run. You know, all kinds of fun little stuff that kids love to do.
Oh my god!
So
and Wesley's a runner, so
Yes.
I bet he loved that shit.
Yes. So I get there, and his social worker, Meredith.
Now he was, so just to clarify, when you said his social worker, so in Alabama at least, there's a county level social worker that makes sure the kid's not dead. Like
Right.
she checks in on them every now and then, make sure that still alive. And then at the state level, there's an adoption coordinator. So that person tries to get the kid adopted, and
Right.
that's who Jennifer is referring to.
Okay, yeah. So Meredith and we meet. She says hi. Here's the boy, and she leaves me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck.
What do I do with this little shit?
What? I don't know this boy. This boy don't know me. I'm all by myself. And I was like, okay, well, come on, little man. And of course he's like, yes, Miss Jennifer, because he was, trying to be in his best manners and everything. And then we go play and have a good time. And then I lose him at one point. And I remember he was wearing a red shirt. And I'm like, red shirt, black boy, red shirt, black boy, red shirt. I keep looking around the crowd. I'm trying to find him. And then I'm like, oh, there he is. And I have to run to him because I'm like, what happens if I lose to the little shit? I mean, do they like get me? You just left him with me. What happens?
No baby for you.
I know. Then I get kicked out the program. But yeah, so we ate lunch. We had a good old time. Miss Meredith came, picked him up, and then I drove back home.
Yeah, I think when that's a little, like, I don't remember the couple of times we met with people with kids that they didn't just abandon us. It was kind of, like they sat around and were nearby, but they didn't be like, bye.
Just
Good luck.
because you was a gay man.
I guess.
That's what they were worried that you take him to the bathroom,
Yeah, I remember when you went down there and did it, you're like, oh man, that kid has a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah.
Because Jennifer and I are, she's just turned 40 and
Yep.
doesn't look a day over 25.
Ooh, thank you.
I'm 40 and have looked 40 for the last 10 years. No, I'm 40.
You don't.
I'll be 44 in December. So,
Oh.
yeah, these little fuckers wear
Ooh,
me out.
they sure do. But
They want to go play nowadays, and they're like, "Oh, let's go running." I'm like,
you run, I'll watch.
"Yeah,
Yeah. Good job.
Grandpa's gonna have a heart attack. Y'all go ahead." But yeah, I remember when you came home because I vaguely remember you being excited but a little not sure of yourself.
Well, of course, because it's just, you just met this kid one time.
Yeah.
yeah, they're on their best behavior. And in his bio, it was no medicine needed. The only thing that was really kind of not sketchy, but like worrisome is the possible sexual abuse. That was it.
Yeah.
So you're like, what kid doesn't have medicine? Like, what's going on? And I saw that little boy run around like a chicken with a head cut off, and I'm like, y'all lying to me.
And when you, all right, I'm not gonna skip the story, but he was always a hyper, like, bouncy little kid.
Yes.
So I'm thinking his foster parents must have just plopped in front of the TV and like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I agree with that. I think the majority of his foster family did that because he watched a lot of stuff he shouldn't have watched. And
What?
we learned later.
Was he watching Debbie Does Dallas?
No. It was Debbie Does the Barnyard.
No. What? I don't know this story.
I'm lying.
Oh.
Well, I mean, he never watched it with me. He might have watched it with another foster family, but
Oh my god, that's funny.
But yeah, so I met him that one time, and then they asked if he could come up for the weekend, and I was like, well, yeah, sure. Oh my god, what am I going to do with an 8-year-old on the weekend? And so, of course, I made it fun. Who the fuck wouldn't make it fun?
That was your first mistake.
That was very much so my first mistake. We had popcorn, watched a movie, we went to the splash pad, we went to the park. I mean, we did all fun stuff, because you're just here for a weekend, He throws it back in my face now, 2 years later, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, on another episode. But yeah, so one weekend, and then I think it was 2 weeks. They're like, oh, he's about to be moved to a foster family. You want him?
Yeah.
What?
That's one thing about, I'm sure all social workers do, like all foster care systems do it, but in Alabama, they're like, oh, meet this child. He's moving in next week.
Yeah. It was so quick.
Yeah. Unless you are big about maintaining your boundaries and being like, no. I want to meet him a few more times, see how this little hellion reacts. They're going to be like, oh, here, you want him?
Yeah, and I was going through some things because one of my best friends, who was like a little brother, he had passed during this time. So I was all up in my feelings, and then they got me having an 8-year-old live with me. And I thought about it, and I was just like, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Bring his little ass, because you have to foster him for 6 months before you can even...
3.
Say, I thought it was 6.
It's 3.
Oh, maybe I think it's 6 because our lawyer took so long. 3 months then before you can even say, yes, I want to adopt this child. So you could always be like, okay, I'm sending him home or go and send him back to another foster family,
So what Jennifer is referring to is that in Alabama, you have to, so Jennifer Zay and I are, we're not certified as traditional foster parents. We're called pre-adoption placement resources, I think is the term. I don't know. But when one of us gets a kid in the house that's not ours yet through adoption, the only reason they're going to be in our house is because we plan to adopt them.
Right.
So we're not traditional foster parents. So we don't get calls saying, hey, can you foster this kid while, mom's going through drug rehab or some shit like that.
Right.
If we have a kid in our house, it's because we're thinking of adopting them.
Right.
So that's what Jennifer's talking about. And in Alabama, you have to have them for at least 3 months before I think the judge will sign off on it or some shit like that. But yeah, we did the same thing. We had to wait 3 months. So you get him up, you got him like blink of an eye.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like it felt wicked fast. Like, oh my God, I just met this kid last month and now he's living in my house.
Now so Jennifer and I have a mutual friend named Ceci, and she was having a get together at her house, and that was the first time I met him. Yeah. But so the weekend we met Wesley. What was that? That was the celebration of your friend's death. Yeah, his funeral or memorial service, some shit like that.
That was to get together to celebrate his life,
right,
and death. And so that was. when you met Wesley, that happened. I had met your granddaughter the weekend before, I want to say, because we met on 4th of July.
That's
And then
right.
the next weekend was when we had the celebration, because we pretty much had, we tried to have a few days where everybody could come to my best friend's mom's house and kind of celebrate Adrian. And so it was a very nice, but then it was also me having this child, which worked out because Adrian's son, AJ, is my baby. He's my nephew in heart, not in blood, but they got along very well, and it gave someone else for AJ to play with. So him and Wesley are buddies now. And then bring in your granddaughter, and they're the three musketeers because they love to play together.
Oh
so,
my God, they get
yeah.
in so much trouble. Cleo was there, wasn't she?
She was, but it wasn't the first time I met her. The first time I met her was the weekend before.
Yeah, the 4th of
Yeah.
July. Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember. So just for our listening audience, Clea is me and Zane's granddaughter. So
Right.
if I hadn't referenced it before,
Well, I didn't say her name because I didn't know if you wanted to or not. So
it's whatever.
still learning.
we're gonna be talking about these little fuckers in and out. So who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that's when we met him.
Yeah.
And then, so this was maybe like middle of July is when we met him, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then, so we hadn't had Kalia that long either, like maybe 3 weeks, maybe. And I remember I had found a, not after school, but like a
Church.
it was a church summer camp thing through the local Seventh-day Adventist historically black university up here, and they had a church doing a camp, some shit, and so I enrolled her in that, and I think you sent Wesley for like the last 2 weeks.
I think it was like 2 weeks
Yeah.
because I couldn't find any other daycare that would take him because it's like there's 2 weeks before school starts. No, we're not going to take a new one. But luckily, the place that you took Kalia to let him go, and he really, really, really enjoyed it there. So.
Yeah, I was happy about it because I get a little. So Jennifer, if we hadn't said it already, Jennifer adopted a little black boy, and Kalia or Zane and I adopted a young black man and his sister, and Kalia is also black. So I don't want them surrounded by a bunch of white faces all the time. I don't want them.
Because that's us.
Yeah.
We're like the whitest of the white.
Oh my God, yeah. All three of us are pasty AF.
Yes.
So I don't want her to always feel like the other. I don't want her to be surrounded by other people of color so she's not feeling. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm glad I found that place, although they were closed down for COVID, which was very sad.
Last 2 years.
Yeah.
The last 2 summers.
Yeah.
Just been
In 2020
horrible.
and 21.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm back.
Yeah. They had a great time there.
They did. And then he started second grade, didn't he?
Second grade.
Second grade at a very not so great elementary school.
Well, I don't live in the best neighborhood, so we had his second grade was in the not like they were failing. So I actually got him a minority to majority transfer because he's a little black boy. So I got him in a really good school with the transfer for 3rd and now 4th grade. But yeah, so let me go back. I get him. He's living with me. I'm not so much fun because this is 24/7, not just a weekend. Mm-hmm. And so we have to figure each other out, which, it was a process. Mm-hmm. You know, in the classes they talked about a honeymoon phase that the kids would be like angels to you to just kind of be kept. But he really didn't have a honeymoon phase. It might have been like a week. And then he showed his true colors. And I found out that he has ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder. He has an anxiety disorder.
I didn't know about the anxiety.
Yeah, I had to take him to that psychiatrist. They had to officially diagnose him because whoever his foster parents were before, they said he didn't have any
Sucked.
problems.
Yeah.
So I got him on medicine. We're still tweaking it even 2 years later to try to get his right combination. I'm not saying that he's a bad kid. He's just hyper as all get out. And sometimes it's a little much.
Yeah. Well, and you're strict as fuck. So.
Yes, I am very strict. Yes.
So it's y'all butt has a lot about that.
Yes.
But also, in addition to the medication, the motherfucker was illiterate
Yes.
in second grade.
Yeah.
Could barely read.
No sight words whatsoever.
No sight words. Kalia in kindergarten he was probably behind Kalia when she was in kindergarten.
Yeah, and I have tried my damnedest to get him caught up, and we're getting there. It's a
process.
It's a process, but we're getting there. So we have an illiterate child, second grade, 8 years old, needing medication. We've gotten all figured out, and I figured that when you said I was strict as fuck, this is the reason why, is because I figured you can't become stricter, but you can become less strict. So I needed to find our medium of what the best way to do it is. So yes, I was very strict at first, and I'm still strict. Yes, I feel like I've gone down a little bit on my strictness, but
You're still strict. I think you just chilled out on the punishments. Have gotten a little less crazy.
well, that could be it. But I mean, this is just me. I can't change how I want things to be, and
Yeah. Well, you like control.
that's very much true. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
That's true. And we will have an episode soon about discipline.
Oh yeah.
We will discuss our varying techniques.
Yeah, his lack of techniques.
Yeah,
No,
whatever.
I was kidding.
Okay, so let's see. Where were we? You got him. You get him into school, and he's illiterate. Oh, he's also got a stutter.
Yeah, well, he had. We fixed that. I think that was.
I still hear it every now and then.
Well, I mean, it's just when he's wicked excited.
So if it sounds a little odd in the audio, we had to take a little bit of a break because there were some ice issues. So
Yes.
if we have some continuity issues in this episode, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Not sorry. Ooh, you were hearing thunder because it's about to get stormy.
Yes.
All right. So you were talking about getting him, and then I think we were going to talk about the lawyer next.
Yes. So we went back and forth, me and Wesley, and I think
Oh,
it was
yeah.
because I was strict. So he never had discipline before. You could tell that he was just a TV kid. Like the TV was his babysitter, and I was not for that. I made sure that he did what he was supposed to do, read, even though him and I do not do well reading together. As I know he can do it, and then he wants to be a little lax, and so he guesses a lot, and he's like, "I don't stop yelling at me," and I'm like, "Dude, I know you know this word."
Which is hilarious because with my granddaughter, you are like little Miss Cheerleader, and it is so funny because I'm like, if you a little bit more like that with Wesley.
But I can't
I know.
because he
I know.
does this shit deliberate that he's like, well, orange, and the word was spider. Like, there's not any fucking way orange and spider go together. Like, they sound out like they're supposed to.
I know. And I get this.
Your granddaughter tries. I mean,
let's keep it real now. That little bitch.
the little bitch did good when we read.
Well, yes, because I
yesterday.
forced it, but I also I've tried to do math with her, and I've gotten her in tears before.
Well, it's because it's.
It's
If
it's
you
your
did
child.
Wesley, you would not have gotten her in tears. If I did Clea, it's the same way. We're nicer to the other person's kids than we are to our own, and that's just, or maybe not nicer, but just like
you're more
it's
patient.
easier because it's not yours.
Yeah, the irritation buttons are not being pushed.
Yes.
So
So, anyways, we go back and forth whether he wants to get adopted or not. He had threatened many times, put shit in a suitcase and said, I want to go back to foster care. And then We had many a talk, and even one time it was to the point where, like, I was in tears having to come to your house and
remember.
have you talk to Wesley about
Weasley?
Wesley. It's the whiskey and the Wesley. Talk to Wesley about does he really want to get adopted or not. Like that was to the point of almost no child no more. Like
Yeah.
just send his little ass off.
Yeah, I remember.
Luckily that didn't happen. Or unluckily, depending on how you view it or what day it is for Wesley. We used the lawyer that you used. You said, hey, this is the lawyer we used. She's cool because she does adoption as a not a side gig, but she doesn't charge you anything extra. She just uses what the state gives, and because she loves doing adoptions,
Yeah.
she loved being that person that united the mom and the kid, or the dad and the kid, that kind of thing.
So what Jennifer was referring to a second ago was that in Alabama, I think in most states they give you if you adopt out of foster care, the state will give you the lawyer like a stipend or something like that. In Alabama, it's like $1,000, which in most lawyers in Alabama, that's not enough to do an adoption. But yeah, we're talking about Jennifer Gray, rest in peace, which we will
Yes.
find out in a moment. But she did ours for free, and we loved her, and she had the sweetest dog, Duchess.
Oh my God. Like, just to go there and talk to the dog was like the highlight of.
She always had Duchess like in the back area, and I'm like, can we let her out? Because Duchess would hop up in the chair and just love all over you.
Yes.
And she was so soft.
So soft. And just very rambunctious and full of energy.
sweet.
Wesley loved her too. So
yeah.
whenever we went there, Wesley was playing with the dog while we talked. So yeah, we got a lawyer. We were ready to get adopted in February of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
The day before our adoption, the judge calls me.
Dun dun dun.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Are you supposed to be calling me? Like, do I talk to you? Like, I ain't never been to court before. I don't know, even though this is a good thing about court.
Who wants to meet you, baby?
Yeah, I don't know nothing about nothing. So the judge is like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your lawyer died. What the fuck?
I'm like, all right. To be fair, she was not the healthiest of people. Like, she was a thicker lady, and she smoked a lot.
Yeah, but you don't think that she gonna die?
No, yeah, she wasn't like 80 years old, like walking around with oxygen or some shit. So when you told me she died, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Who
It
the
was
fuck?
a very unreal moment. And then the judge is like, but don't worry, because she filled out all the paperwork, which is good, and you don't need her, which is just kind of mean sounding, but to the truth. So we went to the courthouse, didn't have a lawyer, but the judge signed the thing, and then I had Jason Zane, our friend EJ, Kalia, my mom and stepdad, Pops,
Your brother too.
my brother Patrick, and
Meredith was there, wasn't she?
Ceci was there. Meredith couldn't make it because her kid got sick.
Jessica came.
But Ceci came and Jessica came. And so we had our little family,
Remember?
and the little judge Chambers, I guess, and Wesley got to pound the gavel, and he got to pick his name because you can change his name to anything. He liked Wesley, so we kept it, but he didn't have a middle name. And for some reason, he was a third, which there were no juniors in his life, so I really don't know how his mom came up with that. But he wanted a middle name, so we went over middle names, and I was like, what middle name do you want? So first it was like Mufasa, and I'm like, baby,
Mufasa,
I
Mufasa.
am not going to name you Mufasa from The Lion King. Sorry.
What about Simba?
No, he didn't want Simba, but then he wanted Jordan.
Well,
Because he wanted some Jordans. And I'm like, baby, that is not a good enough reason for mom to give you the name Jordan.
Jordan would have been a good name.
No. And then I was like, baby, think about people that are in your life that you admire and you care for and that you'd feel comfortable like being named after. And so he took a second and he thought about it for real. And that really surprised me because he's very quick and
yeah.
just, I'm just going to say whatever first thing that comes off my, off my brain. I'm just gonna say that real quick. But he thought about it, and then he was like, "I want to be named Jason."
Aw.
So he wanted to be named after my best friend Jason.
Aw.
Which when I told him, he about cried. So, yay! So he became Wesley Jason. And he got my last name because he hated his last name, which we are still fighting to get his last name changed on different paperwork 2 years later.
I'm
And
amazed by that. Like in the school system, they still have referred.
yeah,
to him by
I
his
had
last
to
name.
do it this year, like because COVID, I didn't even get to see his new school in person. I never stepped foot in it. Sent my son there every day, but I never got to go to it. And then now I finally got to go in for to meet his teacher and all that. And I finally got his name changed at school, but his medicine still says Brown.
Yeah, I've gone to like Target to go get his prescription every
Yep.
now and then, and I'd be like, "Oh, Wesley so and so," and they're like, "Who?" And I'm like, Wesley Brown." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's it." I'm like, "What the fuck? Why is it still Leslie's Brown?"
Yeah, I don't know. The third too.
The third,
Again,
yes.
there's no junior. But so so yeah, when we get adopted, and it's been downhill ever since.
Oh, it hasn't been that
No,
bad.
it hasn't. It's
There's been
good
peaks and
bad.
valleys.
Yeah,
peaks and valleys.
definitely. But I think that's with any kid. And then he has a new family, yes, but he's lost his whole family, and then he's lost other families when he thinks about his foster families. And
Well, when when you were talking about how he was not wanting to be adopted, I think that was his idea. Is like, I just want to go back to my old foster family,
Right.
And he didn't realize that was not an option. They had those assholes were going to drop him off at DHR.
well, so yeah, that was the foster family prior to when I had him.
Right.
So it was a family had him, then it was a group home, then it was me.
Oh, okay.
And the foster family had a little girl, and they fostered him, and they were ready to adopt him. So I guess foster families don't get the information that we do when we're going to adopt somebody. So they just knew there's this little brown kid that needed a home. Okay, well, they took him. Well, then they're like, oh, we're going to adopt him. Okay, well, here's more information on this child.
Here's his nibs.
And then they're like, oh, he's been sexually abused. Like, they went to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And he touched the little girl's leg in the car one time. And mom was like, no, we're not going to adopt you.
Yep.
And then, so they tell him, I guess, in said car, and he throws a ball at them. And so they decide to drop his ass off at DHR.
Fucking assholes.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Because if, like, he had been with a good foster family, that's another babysitter for me. Like, that's hey, go spend the weekend with them so I can have a weekend to myself because mama's hard. Mommy in this hard? Yeah, not
Mama's
mama
hard?
is hard. Mommy in this hard. That doesn't sound Being a mother is hard. How about that?
I was feeling that whiskey.
No, I was the words. It's just the words are hard.
Boy, she's hard.
But being a mother is hard work. How about that? That makes it less sexual. So having a weekend off is nice.
Yeah. No, I agree. We have been super lucky with Kalia's old foster family that we could still call them that. We haven't called them in probably like a year and a half just because of COVID, but
Right.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah. And Wesley talks about them all the time. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I could be like, yeah, let's go see them. But fuck no.
No,
You
not
done my
after
baby
that bullshit.
wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you are not going to get away with doing my baby wrong and then have him in your life. No.
No, ma'am, Pam.
No, that's right. So, I'm protective. And I might not need to be, but that's what I am. I'm very protective of him.
Yes.
And so, yeah, can't have his foster family in his life, but he still talks about them, so I let him talk. And then I just tell him, I don't tell him why, because he doesn't know
Oh, yeah.
the reason why they kind of just dropped his ass off. So he thinks that it's me being the bad guy.
You
and,
bitch.
And so I just tell him, you have to wait till you're 18 before you can know about your biological family or your foster family. I was like, baby, they don't tell me any information. I don't know nothing, and I don't like to lie, but this is a good lie.
Well,
I mean,
I hate to say it, but he's just not. I don't think he's mature enough for the truth.
no.
Because it would. Well, I think it would cause more troubles than it's worth.
Yeah.
If he were to find out the truth. So yeah. Oh, these little shitheads.
Yeah.
They've been through so much.
They have. But yeah, so that's my journey.
Your journey into motherhood,
Oh my
single
God.
motherhood.
Yeah.
It's been an adventure. Zane and I have watched the whole thing, and I remember when I was younger and before I met Zane, I was like, well, I know I want kids. I was willing to do it as a single person. Watching you do it, I'm like, oof. Damn.
But when you were younger, you probably could have.
I could still do it now, but it just wouldn't be. Oh, goddamn. I don't think I would want a young one.
Yeah.
I would not want a baby.
No.
No.
No babies. No. I'm too
love
old for that.
Yeah. I love babies, but I love sending them home.
Yeah.
I have a second granddaughter recently. She'll be 1 year old in November. And I'm like, oh, I love you. I love being able to send you home.
Yes.
I can't wait for your sister to go home with you.
Yeah.
I love my granddaughter, but goddamn.
But, I mean,
I know.
you're going to miss her.
I'm a boo-hoo.
Yeah,
You
and
better
then
believe
you're
it.
going to have Wesley up your ass. Because
That's true.
then he won't have no one to play with.
That's true.
But we love our kids, even though we talk shit about them.
Hey, you know what? The thing I wanted most about this podcast is like I want people to realize, especially people who are even considering foster care, to have a better sense of what the fuck they're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
But parenthood is lonely sometimes.
Yes.
Because you're like, am I doing this right?
Right. And
And-
you fuck up all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and you have regrets constantly,
Right.
and you're like, "Am I doing this right? Am I fucking this kid up? Is this going to be forever?
Right.
Is this one fuck up I did going to make this kid, like a serial killer for the
Right.
rest of their lives?"
Or a fire starter.
Yeah. So even though it's frustrating, I think the thing I wanted to talk, it's like I just want to be able to talk about our frustrations. So I think we're doing the Lord's work.
Shut up.
I will say though, I was hoping we could talk about this. Have you had anyone tell you, or Wesley, you're so lucky?
Yes. I hate it.
Oh my God! Yes.
It's the worst fucking thing in the world.
Yes. So
He is not lucky.
no.
He lost everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, he has me now, but motherfucker had a family. Like 6 brothers and sisters, a mom, I think a dad, grandparents, whatever, and
Poof.
gone. Now he has a mom.
And a mean one at that.
Yes, exactly. But if he didn't have if I didn't have my village and he didn't have his village, which is all of us, it would be a lot harder than it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is not a lucky child.
No.
I mean, maybe one day he might appreciate that I adopted him, but he's not lucky.
No. And I remember in the classes they told us this, like, every adoption starts with not a tragedy, with a loss.
Well, I mean, it's still a tragedy too.
Yeah.
I
I mean, yeah, they're getting
gone.
adopted. It's an end to the uncertainty in their lives, hopefully. Mm-hmm. But it is not like, oh, you're so lucky. I'm like, no. They went through hell.
Right.
This is an end to the hell, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
But
And with me as a mom, it's not the end of the hell. So,
certainly not the end of the grounding.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Zay and I don't remember where we were at, but this guy saw me and Kalia out, and he gave me a fist bump, and he's like, "You're doing the Lord's work," and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm
You
like,
don't know me.
"You don't know me." I'm like, "I could be a child molester. I just snatch this
Snatch
baby.
this kid off
You
the
don't
side
know
of the
me?
street."
I'm gonna go sell her." Shit,
Yeah.
no. Don't do that, people. That is illegal.
Yes, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
we were at Target the other day, and the cashier was like, "Is that your son?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, you're doing such good work, and you're doing a good job." Bitch, you don't know me.
It's like I'm gonna beat him when I get home.
Right. I just don't. I beat him to the point where he doesn't show the bruises
That's
because
right.
that's what they taught you in the class.
You hit him with the clothes cover.
Exactly. No, I'm just kidding. That is not what they teach you in the class. But yeah, I mean, it's not that they're lucky. I'm lucky that I got a somewhat good little boy who gets on my nerves, who I love dearly. But yeah, it's not him being lucky.
No,
not at all.
They've suffered hell,
Yeah.
and this is hopefully the end of it.
Yep.
Oh, girl. Well, this has been a pretty good first episode, I'd say.
I think so.
So, I think you pretty much covered your path to journeyhood.
Ooh. Who's feeling the whiskey now?
Well, after 3 shots of it, I'm feeling very good. All right, so this point in the podcast, we're gonna have a little snack time. You want to talk about what snack we're eating?
We're eating some pretzel chips. Crisps? Chips? Oh, I can't see the bag from where we are, but we will have pictures on our Instagram about this and the whiskey. Jason's husband, Zane, is our photographer.
Yes.
And he is doing an awesome job. Like, he's making it all pretty and shit. Like, I would have just put a bottle in a bag, and that would have been it. But we are eating pretzel crisps. Oh, I was right. Look at me. And they are of garden vegetable variety. And I will say that it is very seasoned. Like, bam in your mouth. I mean, I don't think I like them.
You don't? No.
I mean, they're
Okay.
strong. Like, if they were less seasoned, I would like them more. Stop. Stop eating them crisps right in front of the microphone.
Here's a little ASMR for our friends on the pod.
Yes.
It was a green bag. We thought they were Parmesan garlic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's okay. I like the blue bag.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the salt.
Traditional one,
Yeah.
yeah. This is just a little too seasoned for Joneful.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's a lot of in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
what he said.
Uh-huh. That's
Literally.
what I said.
All right.
So yeah, that's our snack with our whiskey. Now we did try not to crunch too much into the microphone, but you know it does happen. So, whatever.
All right. So now that we've had our snack time, shall we have story time?
Ooh, story time!
Yay! All
And
right.
it's my story time, isn't
Ooh,
it?
it
This time?
is.
Oh yay!
It's a doozy.
Oh my god! So I don't even know. Like, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened with me and Wesley.
Yeah. This one, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that.
This is only a couple months into me having him.
Well, I just as a preface, it was stupid. It was incredibly stupid, but it wasn't malicious.
No. He thought he was doing something else than what he did.
Yeah.
I
But he
learned
thought
a
he was being
lot
nice to
I
someone.
learned a lot about it, yes.
Yeah.
You're very, very
True.
true on that, but it's
Yeah.
also the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
time I ever got called into the principal's office. As an adult, as a mother. Now, as a child, I was sent there plenty of times. That's probably a different podcast. Anyways,
Like mother, like daughter.
yes. So I was at work. I get a call from the principal, and they're like, we need you to come to the school.
And he hadn't been enrolled in that school very long.
It was like 2 months, I
Yep.
want to say, if that. Again, bad memory, so don't know exactly the date, but
It was fall of that first year.
yeah,
you had him.
it was very close to me just enrolling him and getting
Yep.
him in. Me having him like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go to my boss and be like, hey, school called. I got to go see the principal. And I had never done that before either. So again, a new thing. So I had to leave work. Got to the school, went to the principal's office, and there's Wesley. And there's a baggie on the table between the principal and Wesley. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? In my head, because, you know, of course, I'm not going to cuss at a principal. I will in my head, but not in person.
What the fuck is this shit?
Right. So I go in, I sit down, and the principal's like, do you know what this is? And I look at it, and I'm like, the fuck? That's my catnip. And he was like, well, your son said it was marijuana. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's catnip for the cats. Like, it's their marijuana, but it's not illegal. You buy it at Walmart. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So apparently, Wesley found the catnip on like the tallest shelf that I have in my house. I wasn't even hiding from it. I just hide it from the cats. And he took it, like climbed the shelf, took it to school, offered it to a little girl I guess he liked, and said, I used to smoke this with my brother. And so, of course, in my head, I'm like, my boy has smoked weed, 1. Thought I had weed, 2. And brought it to school, 3.
And so that would have been his biological, so he probably would have been like 5 or 6 at the time.
Yeah. 4, 5, 6, somewhere like itty bitty smoking weed with his big brother.
Oh my God.
What is what I learned later on, asking him questions, because of course I had to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Yep.
Because, oh my God, it's just catnip. So the principal was like, we're pretty sure it's catnip. I'm like, no, 100%, definitely catnip. I don't know if I can eat it, but I would show you somehow. Let me bring my cat from the house. I don't know what the fuck to do about this, but it's not weed. I don't have weed at the house. No.
Good thing you didn't bring the crack in.
Well, couldn't find that.
That's hidden a little better.
Well, that's in the room, the lights,
Under the vibrators.
Yeah, exactly. So, principal's like, we could suspend him. And I'm like, why? It's catnip. Well,
you said that?
Well, yeah.
I love you.
And he was like, but he thought it was, well, he thought it was weed. He 8 years old. He don't know what the fuck he's thinking about. So, it is catnip. So, he gave the little girl some catnip. What? I'm taking up for my, my baby. And so, he didn't have no trouble at school.
Oh, but when he got home.
Mama, oh my God, Mama got him.
Woo.
I guilt tripped the fuck out of him. My mom was queen of guilt trips for me, but I would look at the cats and be like, I'm so sorry you can't play with your catnip because Wesley took it to school and he got in trouble with it. He took it away from you. Mama can't never bring it home no more because Wesley will take it to school and na. And I just guilt tripped the fuck out that boy.
Did you ever think about smacking him?
Not really.
Okay.
It was funny. To me, I try not to show it to him, of course, but
yeah,
it's a kid thing, that's what kids do.
So if you're hearing that strange sound in the background, we put our kids in the back bedroom to watch a show, and they decided to join us. But,
yes.
My husband decided to take care of it, hopefully.
It's such a sweet man.
Him.
But yeah, so that's what kids do. They interrupt. They steal shit. They take shit to school thinking it's other shit. And that's just what they do. So yeah, that's my story for story time.
Oh my God, that still makes me crack up. I remember what happened. I was like,
yeah, I just had to be like, Jason, guess what the fuck he did? It's unbelievable in one sense, and then such a Wesley move now that I've known him for 2 years in the other sense.
Yeah. That is very a Wesley thing. That and the little girlfriend thing, because he's always talking about, oh, I got a girlfriend, and it's 5 different ones every week.
Oh my God. So, one more thing before we leave. The first time he ever called me mom, we were at Oakwood. So, he hadn't known me but maybe a month, 2 months. And I had just picked him up from the daycare before school.
The summer camp thing.
Yeah, the summer camp thing. I call everything daycare. I don't know. Yeah. And he comes in the car and he's like, Mama, guess what? And of course I'm like, oh, he called me Mama. And then he says in the next breath, I got a girlfriend. What the fuck? Second breath. Yay, boo. What do you do when a second grader tells you they got a girlfriend? You say, oh, baby, that's cute. How is she your girlfriend? Oh, she said she was. Okay, that's good.
She's pregnant now.
No, fuck no. You can't have a real girlfriend until he 30,
That's right. That's what we tell Kalia.
Yeah.
You ain't having a boyfriend until you out of this house.
That's
child.
right.
Oh my God. Well, Miss Jennifer, how did you think our premiere episode, our very first episode, how did it go?
I think it went well.
Yeah, I hope our listening audience enjoyed it.
I hope so too.
Well, join us next time for a guide to poor parenting, and thanks for listening.
If you like our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
Whether it's SoundCloud or Spotify or iTunes, whatever. And if you don't like our podcast, then just...
Tough shit.
God damn it, woman. I was going to add something to that.
Well, you didn't write it down.
Oh.
So we'll learn that later.
All right. Well,
Third episode.
Second season. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.